Hi everyone, I am here today at No Ego Coffee Shop in Blank Street in Ormeau. Now if you haven't been here, you really need to come and check out the coffee and also the amazing food that they put on here. Today I'm going to be interviewing Tony Lamb from LJ Hooker Home Loans, and she's going to explain to us a little bit about the first homeowners grant and how that can be used to purchase your first home. So I'll hand over to Tony. Tony, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself? Thank you for joining me here today.
Thanks for having me, Kath, and I'm really pleased to be here today. I specialise in first home buyers, finance for them and how they can get into their loan a lot quicker than they probably can realise. I also have or hold LJ Hooker Home Loan seminars for educational seminars for them.
Awesome.
So yeah, and I've got about 18 to 20 years experience in the industry.
Fantastic. So Tony's definitely the lady you need to speak to if you're looking at getting your first home loan. So Tony, I'll just ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
So can you explain a little bit about how the first homeowners grant works and whether first home buyers can actually use that as their deposit?
Yeah, sure, Kath. So the Queensland Government has brought out, and every year they review it, $15,000 that can go towards your first home, and that's a brand new home, so a house and land package. It can't be used on established properties, but it can be used on brand new house and land or brand new units. So basically you just can't have lived in it, it's got to be brand new.
Okay.
It's $15,000. There's an eligibility test on the website that can provide you if you qualify to get that grant, and then that grant is used towards the build part of the transaction. So basically it can't be used as savings or towards your 5% genuine savings, but it is used in the build part, and the bank applies for it on your behalf, and that gets paid to the bank, and then the bank controls the release of that to the builder.
Okay, so it's not like you can actually just use that as a deposit.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how much would you recommend that people need as a first home buyer? How much do you think that they should have as a deposit?
Sure. So it all depends on the purchase price, but basically the banks like to see 5% genuine savings. Now that can be either 5% cash in the bank that's been saved for more than 3 months, or the other way we can do it is 3% genuine savings, so 3% of the purchase price. And if they've got a rent ledger, so if they've been renting for the last 12 months and the lease is just in their name or the names of the people purchasing the property, then we can use the rent ledger that goes towards their genuine savings, and as long as they've got enough cash then to settle the transaction.
Okay, all right. And what about if, say, their parents have gifted them the deposit? Are they able to use that?
Absolutely, so that's called a family guarantee, and most banks offer this to clients as well. So basically mum and dad can use their home and put it up as security, so it's a security guarantor, so mum and dad don't have to put anything financial into it, and they're guaranteeing 20% of the actual loan. So there's 2 loans the client takes if mum and dad are going to do the security guarantor. 80% is the loan that the clients take, and then there's another loan that's the 20% plus the costs to get into that purchase and that home loan.
Okay, and what happens if they do have less than that 20% deposit? Does that mean then that they need lender's mortgage insurance? And if that's the case, could you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So lender's mortgage insurance is a product that's been brought out by the banks, and it's a risk product. So when the bank looks at a client and says, well, you don't have 20%, so the risk to us is a lot higher because we have to lend more against that property. And that's when mortgage insurance, lender's mortgage insurance comes into it. So at 80% where you have 20%, there is no mortgage insurance, but when you go over the 80% lend of the purchase price, the mortgage insurance comes into it and it can get added to your loan, and you can go as high as 95% with majority of banks in Australia.
Wow.
But there are 2 banks that will go as high as 98%, including mortgage insurance.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So Tony, would you recommend first home buyers actually going through one of the big 4 banks or looking at options through other lenders?
That's a really good question, Kath. Before COVID started this year, I wouldn't say any bank in particular. As a broker with LJ Hooker Home Loans, we've got access to 42 banks and lenders, so we're not aligned with anyone in particular. However, since COVID has hit, the top 4 banks with their processing have really blown out. So at the moment, they're not my choice to go to, purely because we can't meet the finance clauses. So alternate lenders, second tier lenders, which have been around for many, many years, are really the choice at the moment over the top four, purely because of that. But also their rates are actually more competitive nowadays than the top four.
Okay. So I was just going to actually ask you that question. Is there any difference between the rates between the top four banks and the other lending institutions?
Look, there definitely is, and today rates are just so cheap as well, but there certainly is a difference in the rates. We're finding that the alternate lenders, the second tier lenders as they're called, have far more competitive rates and policies than the top four banks do in today's market.
So would you recommend with first home buyers if they look at a fixed rate or a variable rate at the moment?
That's a good question, Kath, again, because it's a really personal choice. However, if you are a first home buyer and you're buying house and land, for example, during the construction, the bank wants to see interest only through the build, because most people have rental payments to make while they're building. So the expense can really blow out for them. So normally with house and land packages, I suggest we do variable rates, or we could fix the land and keep the house, the build, as an interest only through construction. And then at the end of the house and land build, when they move into their beautiful new home, we can then look at putting them into fixed rates if they wish to do so. It really depends on what rates are at the time, and depends on everyone's budget as well.
So I guess you've got all the information there to be able to make the best decision for them and their particular needs at the time.
That's right. So as a broker, we're here to make sure that the client gets the best product and needs that best meets their situation, because everyone is different and everyone has different budgeting needs as well. So it's really about the clients and what best suits them, not the bank's, not the client
fitting into the bank,
that's right.
The bank wants. Yeah.
Correct. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
And just one final question. Would you recommend at the moment it's better for people to buy an established home or to look at doing a house and land package?
Okay.
So for first home buyers,
yeah,
that is?
Sure, absolutely. So there's a couple of answers to that question. Firstly, with the first home buyers, and I mentioned before they're entitled to the $15,000 grant. However, if they buy established properties, they don't get the $15,000, but what they do get is free stamp duty up to $500,000 on the purchase, which means they don't have to pay stamp duty on an established property, which is a great benefit. And at the moment, land as well is really scarce. We're finding that, and only recently, I had a client come to me and the land developer wouldn't accept a contract from them, a signed contract, until myself as a finance person completed a form to say that they looked really good to get finance. So because land is in such demand, they're really wanting people to have pre-approvals before they actually go and buy. And it's the same with established. I think as you know, the demand for established is really high.
It is at the moment. Absolutely.
And because you've got so many people turning up to the open homes, that from finance perspective, it's better that they have a pre-approval as well. So that's what we're really looking for with clients now, and advising them is to get in as quickly as possible. The pre-approval lasts for at least 90 days.
Okay.
So they can then
plenty
go
of time to find the home
exactly,
that they're looking for,
and confidently sign a contract.
Okay, all right, that's awesome. Thank you, Tony. So I guess if anyone's looking to buy their first home and you need to get some advice around finance, I suggest you give Tony a call. It's only a 10-minute phone call and you could have all the information that you need to start that process. Hey Tony, fun fact, did you know that coffee was actually discovered by a goat herder in Ethiopia in the 1500s?
Oh God, I didn't know that.
I know. And what he found was that the goats were actually eating the coffee cherries, and he noticed a change in their behaviour, and that they were very energetic and that they didn't sleep all night. So he took this information back to the monks. The monks then decided to make a drink out of the coffee beans, and they decided that they could actually stay up all night praying. So they told all the rest of the monks in Ethiopia, and then that eventually spread out to the rest of the world. How cool is that?
That is very cool. I did not know that, Kat.
And now we get to sit here at No Ego and drink this amazing coffee.
Thank you for having me today.
You're very, very welcome, and thank you so much for sharing that information about home loans and first home buyers.
Thank you.